When it comes to long-term lasting relief from chronic back pain, whether it's post-surgery, herniated disc, bulging disc, whatever you might have, I encourage people to stop stretching so much. What I wanted to do in today's video is do a response video to a very common type of video you find when you search stretches for low back pain relief and you start doing them. And I wanna give you a perspective of someone who has a ruptured L5-S1 disc, who was given a degenerative disc diagnosis above that site many, many years ago, who struggled with chronic back pain for many, many years, but who has beaten it without stretching, who's beaten it without the common practice, common overprescribed things that you might get from a doctor or a PT or something like that. Nothing against any of these people and what they do. I just want to give you my opinion, my perspective on the topic of stretching for low back pain. Now I'm going to be pulling a video from an awesome channel, so Yoga with Adriene. Adriene, there's nothing against what she does and what she's doing on her channel. I think what she's doing is amazing. She's got tons of awesome content. Her channel is huge. It's like 11 million subscribers, so clearly she's doing something right. Go in the link in my description to this video here and you'll see a link to her channel. Be sure to go over there, give her some love. Now before we jump in, I reference strength, I reference stability over mobility a lot in the video. So if you want something you can take home and look more over when it comes to applying the strength and stability aspect to your body instead of the stretching aspect, go grab my pain-free training blueprint. You can get it at fitnessforbackpain.com/pain-free training. It's a free guide. I go over strength training, core training, how to structure your workouts, how to look at strengthening the body for actual back pain relief. Whether you are herniation, bulge, post-fusion, it does not matter. fitnessforbackpain.com/pain-free training. Now let's jump in.
Now, rather than hardcore squeezing, just breathe here. Relax the shoulders down. Let the weight of the elbows
Love this
drop.
you suggest that, not
and we have two
hardcore
options.
squeezing
We're
the
gonna
knees
rock a little
to the
side to
chest.
side, just kind of massaging the lower back, not squeezing like I do normally in Hatha Yoga, but just kind of letting the space be. So I have an option here, or I have the option to draw circles with the palms. Everyone's different. Everyone's experiencing different sensations.
So I like what she starts off with. It's not like hardcore stretching. We're not getting right into it and just pulling our knees to our chest, even though that might feel good to some people. It's not a long-term strategy. It's not going to give you lasting relief. It's very short-term. And what she's doing is just kind of incorporating, or she's encouraging, gentle movement in the low back. Oftentimes when we are in pain, we're kind of already stiff and tense and protected. We want to kind of like do something that is safe, that we feel non-threatened doing, and that's just getting some basic movements. So I think the way she's starting this out is excellent. It's a great introductory to just getting some movement in the low back if you are really sensitive. So
just try to honor that. Awesome. Then when you feel satisfied, slowly we'll release the soles of the feet to the mat, and we'll inhale, reach the fingertips all the way up and overhead. Nice and easy. We're going to just rock the pelvis here. So I'm going to rock the pelvis so that the lower back becomes kind of a rainbow over my mat.
Okay, so basically what she's kind of going to be doing here next is like a modified Cat Camel, kind of. Like she's on her back, so she's safe. Everything is safe kind of on your back. You're grounded with the earth, I guess you can say. But you're just feeling less guarded. So this is a really cool opportunity to kind of work on some pelvic movements. If your low back is really tight, it's really sensitive, I think what she's suggesting you do is great. There's nothing wrong with that. What I would suggest is being very careful of the end ranges on doing this. So she encourages like a rainbow effect. You'll hear her say that in the video, and she's kind of extending. She's not suggesting that you overextend and really push into it. She's not saying that, but I want to cautious you or kind of give you the heads up. Hey, watch the end ranges when you're doing overextension, doing too much extension, or pushing, or really trying to hammer your low back into the ground. Sometimes this is a pain provoker for people. So be mindful of what positions and what you do in the low back, that you're not kind of poking the bear of your injury.
If I wanted, I could slip my hand underneath there, and then I'm just going to rock the pelvis here, get sassy. So nice and easy. We can bend the elbows as I tuck the pelvis, and then exhale, tailbone down.
Digging it.
Navel
like
stretches long.
Very gentle, very easy.
Long. We're going to lift the knees back up, and we're going to cross the ankles.
So this is her way of getting up off the ground.
If you're really tending to lower back relief,
she's just suggesting it. I think it's one of those things that you have to just be careful. I don't think if you really have a sensitive low back where you're on the verge of tweaking or spasming, what I would suggest you do is just kind of rolling over onto your side, getting into a neutral position, a quick breath out, and you're actually exhaling as you're sitting up. So don't do the rocking thing. It might feel good. Any kind of movement and pushing on painful tissues, muscles in that case, when they're tense and tight, feels good. So whether you're rolling, when you have someone tapping on your back or even stepping on your back, that pressure feels good, but don't get it confused with a long-term strategy. It is a short-term, in-the-moment type of thing. So just be mindful of getting up off the floor into a better position. You just gotta be careful.
Rock to one side and come sit up. If your lower back feels tight and you feel like this might be good, join me in a little rock and roll up. So I'm gonna grab the outer edges of the feet. I'm gonna begin to rock a little front to back. If it feels like that's yummy, do it a couple times. Massaging the spine. Remember, it's all connected. This is a great way to just kind of relieve tension.
I like how she identifies yummy movements, which is good. I like the way she thinks about that. It's really cool.
If you're a little more sensitive today, again, we're all different, approaching this different, then just skip that move and come to cross-legged position. Well, as we come to cross-legged and bring the palms to the knees here, nice and easy breezy. We inhale, press the palms into the knees, extend through the crown of the head, lift.
So what she's going to kind of get into is just another version of like flexion and extension. Two things I want to note here. I don't remember her saying anything about this specifically, but anyone who has severe low back pain, like who's really sensitive, being in this on your cross-legged on your butt, flat on the ground, she has a little bit of a mat elevation, so that might help her a little bit. But typically, most people can't get into this type of position who have low back pain. So I want to encourage you to get up off the ground doing this. Whether you use some of those yoga blocks that she has in the back, bring your butt up off the ground. It's going to put yourself in a better position. You're going to feel better. Now, going into what she's doing, I'm all for getting gentle movements, extension, flexion in the low back. I think there is a melt before you move strategy that I like to use, and I think that is a great strategy to incorporate when you're trying to kind of show you and show your brain that it's safe to do flexion. Just be very careful that you are not chasing after the stretch that you get with flexion. So she kind of encourages you to kind of really kind of anchor your weight on your knee and really get that flexion or that stretch through flexion. Just be very careful with this. It's not a dangerous thing. Your body is designed to flex and do these types of movements, but really watch those end ranges, because the idea of stretching a tight muscle as far as it being shortened, like actually shortened muscle, versus the sensation of tightness are two different things, and you have to be careful that you're not just chasing the sensation of tightness and kind of putting it to sleep with this type of movement. So just be careful of how intense you go.
Lift your heart, chest open. Then on an exhale, chin to chest, navel draws back towards the spine. We come into what I call Mr. Burns pose here, rounding forward. Breathe into the back. And then inhale, extend, tagging a little weight in the elbows here.
I love just the idea of breathing into muscles and breathing into movements. I think that's a great practice to do with anything. So
we're going to come to all fours. If you want, you can sneak in a gentle cat cow here.
She suggests you can do some cat camels if you
want.
want.
We're going to take the right leg and lift it gently all the way up into a lunge.
All right. So what we're going to get into is stretching the front of the hip. She references the psoas, hip flexors, very common stretch for people, or it's suggested that people do this. If people were to do more research on their body, in a sense of like, if you're watching this and you're like, do I need to stretch my hip flexors? I do sit a lot. Therefore, I should probably don't do that. What I encourage you to do is do some research on testing for tight muscles. Don't just stretch because this video suggests you do it. That's a very dangerous place to go. You could be hypermobile and you might feel tight and tense in the front, but when you do the test, you actually are not tight and tense. You have that sensation of tightness, which is a totally different thing. So stretching it could make it actually worse. And I'm gonna comment on some things that she does here.
Now again, if the lower back is tight, breathe deep. If the lower back is tweaking, you might save this. I mean, I just don't want anyone with lower back
if
pain
your
to do
low
anything.
back is tight or tweaking, spasming, to like save it, as in don't do it. I think that's what she says. I don't really know what she meant by that, but if she says that, then that's good.
That they don't want to do. So just listen to your body.
Listen to your body.
And
Good.
breathe. I'm going to heel toe my right foot out a little bit wider than I would normally in a runner's lunge. You might even turn the right toes out slightly. And we're going to bring both palms in towards the center line. Now I'm going to curl my left toes under, walk my left.
All right. So again, nothing wrong with stretching the hip flexors. Most people with a sensitive low back are going to feel a stretch way before they get to this position here. With this right here, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, your body's designed to get into this position, but when you're in a sensitive low back situation, odds are you really can't get into this position without pulling and stretching and getting the low back into positions, whether it's twisting or anything like that, that are going to poke the bear. It's going to make the injury. It's going to cause the triggers that you're experiencing. So I think she kind of encourages, hey, if this hurts, don't do it, which is good, but don't do it, okay? Just don't do this position. There's other ways that you can stretch the hip flexors and the psoas and things like that that keep the body in a more neutral position. Your low back is in a more neutral position, which is good. That's what I want to encourage people to do if stretching is something that they actually should be doing.
Left knee back and slowly sink into the hip. So what I'm doing is, this might seem a little counterintuitive, but I'm stretching the front of that left hip crease. If you have a block or
I like
a
how
book,
she suggests
and
bringing
this is
herself
just too
up
much
off
for
the
you,
ground.
can
So
lift
if
the
you're not
earth
as
up to
flexible,
you, baby.
you can add some
Then to come out, we'll come
more
onto
of a
the
block to kind
fingertips.
of bring yourself up. I
Send
just
the
don't
sit
think
bones back for a
smashing
little
out
stability
the
as
front
we
of the hip
walk
like
that right
this
heel in.
is going to
And then
help.
we're just
She
going to
goes
take it
back
for a
and
nice
hits
little
the other
counter
side
pose
as
here.
well.
Right heel stays in the
Here
air
she is
as we relax
she's
the
kind
weight
of
of the
doing
head
like a low
over,
back stretch
pulling
and
the
a
right hip
hamstring
crease
stretch
back.
at the same time. Anybody who actually has low back pain, who has a flexion intolerance, which most back pain people have some level of flexion intolerant, are not going to do well in this position, period. If you have sciatica, this is not going to do well with you. It's not going to help you stretching that nerve and doing this. So with low back pain, if you have it, this is going to poke the bear. It's going to make your pain worse. So I want to encourage you to just skip this. Like, don't do it. Don't try to stretch the low back. This might feel good. The hamstring stretch is going to feel good. The low back stretch is going to feel good. She references bringing space to the low back. Sure, for the short term, for the 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes after this flow is done, you might feel great, but I promise you within an hour, 2 hours, you'll be back to the same thing. And sometimes, often, if you're honest with yourself and you practice this kind of stuff, the pain always returns, and sometimes it's even worse. So I say skip this.
It doesn't have to be a deep stretch, guys. In fact, if we're tending to the lower back, we should keep it nice and spacious, nice and easy. So one breath here with the weight of the head over. Remember, it's all connected. All the way
now
up.
She's getting
to
up. This is where it goes south.
For a forward fold.
Okay, so what she's going to try to accomplish is just flexion, like really bringing space to that low back. 100% I say don't do this at all. Not that you can't, not that you'll never be able to do it, but if you can't touch your toes right now, forcing yourself down there and trying to do it with sciatica and low back pain, low back tightness, spasming, all those things, regardless whether it's a good day or bad day, don't try to do it, okay? Your body doesn't need this right now for it to heal. Unfortunately, this is a yoga for back pain relief, so she's encouraging you to do it. I say don't do it.
Now, rule of the game here is
I like how she says
please,
keep
my
the knees
friends,
bent,
keep your knees
the
bent.
hips are back, so
Bend
her
those
weight
knees,
is
keep
kind
them
of
soft. They can be
launching
super
back
generous.
towards her butt and beyond.
Then I'm going to take my hands to the belly, draw the belly in just slightly,
But I'm
and
just
let the
not
weight
a
of the head
fan.
hang
I'm not a
over
fan of
gently.
this. This is not going to help
yeah,
long
baby.
term. This is
Release
not a
the
long term relief
fingertips.
strategy. This is an in the moment, as you're doing it, a couple minutes afterwards,
if you have a
relief
block, you
strategy.
can kind of
And
rest it
whether
here
you have
or,
something like
a
this or
book.
not,
This
you're
is not
forcing
about the
yourself
palms
into an
touching the earth.
overstretched
They can
position,
go
which
wherever-
your body is guarded and tense
wherever
and
they
tight,
need.
and
This
it's
is
just
about
not going to help.
feeling grounded through the soles of the feet, and then finding spaciousness in the lower back. So again, rather than drawing the knees all the way up here,
So I skipped ahead. She's kind of going into
myself have a
some,
little more spaciousness.
I call
a
these a
little more.
baseball stretch. I've done this video before. I would never suggest someone do anything like this. If you have a sensitive low back, the twisting, if you have a herniated disc, bulging disc, post-fusion, any kind of chronic back pain for whatever reason, odds are trying to gain this extra movement in the low back, especially through twisting, is going to send you into a spasm. It's not going to feel good. It's not going to fix it long term. It's a short term relief strategy. I just don't suggest doing it at all on either side.
Just ease. So
you can add this stuff in later when you have a lot more control over your pain, but don't do this to try to gain more control.
Back, full on body stretch.
Now she goes into just kind of, she's basically finishing up. The video's almost over. She's finishing up. I love it. She's like, hey, just stretch out on your back, relax. If being on your back is a pain trigger for me, I know maybe it's because I have a big butt and I have anterior pelvic tilt issues. Being on my back is just not super comfortable. So I would suggest being on your stomach, deep breathing, exhaling, inhaling into your butt, trying to relax everything, recover.
Feels better. Open.
Now this is where she lost me, Adriene. I'm not a fan, never been a fan of this. I think it's the worst thing for people who have low back pain, and that is
belly comes to the top of the thighs and you release here. This is so great for lower back. You can do this in your bed.
Not saying that the human body is not designed to get in this position. I'm not saying that at all. I think it's, you know, we should all be able to do this. It's great. But if you have chronic back pain, this is chasing short-term relief. This is going to make it hurt more. It's not going to take away the pain long-term.
A little gentle rock.
It feels good. Trust me. I've done many of yoga sessions for back pain, and you end with this, and you're like, oh God, this kind of hurts, but it also feels really good at the same time. And you do it.
I wonder why they call this.
I mean, that looks super comfortable, but it's not going to help you. If you have back pain, it's not going to help you. So she basically finishes up this way, and the video kind of ends. This is the ending exercise. So I hope this was helpful. Again, it's just my perspective of yoga for back pain relief. I'm not clowning on the entire yoga practice. There's tons of value you can get from yoga. I'm only targeting yoga for back pain. I don't think it's beneficial for the majority of the people who I work with personally, along with myself. What we have found to be the most successful is removing stretching and focusing more on gaining more composure over our sensitivity, understanding why we are so sensitive, and then building strength around these painful tissues, and only addressing mobility and stretching if we've actually identify that there is an issue. The majority of people do not have that. It's a sensation of tightness due to pain, due to fear, due to anxiety, due to the stress of having the pain. Their body is responding through tension, okay? So again, if you want that free guide, if you want to approach back pain relief from a strength perspective, go to fitnessforbackpain.com/pain-free training. It's free. You can have it. Check it out, download it, make notes on it, build your own strength training program when it comes to core exercises, when it comes to the exercises that you're choosing, the order of your exercises, how to recover, what to do before you work out. That's all based around getting freedom from chronic back pain, using strength to get there. So I hope this video was helpful. If you want more of these types of videos, leave a comment in the comment box below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.